Hello, everybody. Welcome to Meltdown Comics in Hollywood, California. Harmontown is now in session. Please welcome to the stage the mayor of Harmontown, Mr. Dan Harmon.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. You're all wonderful. Let's figure everything out.
How are you, Dan? How you doing?
I'm good. I just came from doing the treatment with Elvis Mitchell. Californians will know what I'm talking about. KCRW, Elvis Mitchell. Very, very wily and unexpectedly deep researcher in terms of his interviews. I don't know. I can't figure that guy out. Like, he was asking me questions about, like, comic books I wrote in the 90s. I don't know if he just... Is he... I couldn't... It was weird.
Weird how? Like, he'd done so much research?
Well, it was very insightful and asking strange questions that had never been asked and drawing... I had heard him interview people before. I always fantasized about being a guest of his, kind of like, one day maybe I'll be a writer and I'll be interviewed by this guy who interviews writers. And somebody had told me, yeah, he draws weird parallels and connects weird dots that may or may not be there, but you. And then he did. He was talking about how all of my work was about sensitivity, exposed nerves. That's what he kept saying. I kept saying it's about humanity versus systems. That's what I always thought. But he kept saying exposed nerves, which I guess, yeah. I don't know. Is that just...
I feel like you have exposed nerves.
Yeah. Well, everyone does. What does that even mean? I don't know.
It feels like I just hit one right now.
What is that supposed to mean? It was odd and insightful. I was on fire. I guess.
Do you think it's a catchphrase of his that he's applied to lots of people?
No,
no.
That's
something that he just gave you.
No, it's. I don't think he doesn't have catchphrases that he doesn't have catch-alls that he uses with each individual guest. It's just that with each guest, the gimmick seems to be that he kind of all of a sudden is asking a question that's sort of like. Well, oh yeah, I guess so. I don't know how to explain it. Listen to it. I'm plugging it. I was happy with the interview. But the other weird thing is it was at the house of the guy who created SpongeBob SquarePants, but he wasn't on the show. It was just at his house.
Is it always at his house? Or
no, it's not.
Does he always host from a different...
no, he does not always host from a house. And no, there's not... It was... Pulled up at a giant house, the kind of house you'd expect to have if you created SpongeBob SquarePants.
A giant pineapple.
Rolled in, and there was just all these people. I guess they're KCRW donors, like kind of well-heeled liberal types, kind of ersatz Tim Robinses, and eating prosciutto and things and. Drinking delightful like Campari drinks. And
they were low budge Tim Robbins.
Well, I wouldn't call them low budge. I mean,
or sots.
For all we know. Well, all right. Well, I'm saying non-Tim Robbins Tim Robinses, handsome old men with gray feathered hair.
Oh, okay, but just not.
Yeah.
They weren't in the Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They were actors. I'm sure a lot of them were captains of industry or something. They were all patrons of public.
All hanging
radio.
out at the creator of SpongeBob's house.
All at SpongeBob's house, even though SpongeBob, who I talked to, I don't think he likes to be called SpongeBob. He was just like, yeah, it's at my house, man. Good to have you here. And
so he was there, like was he?
Yeah, but only because his wife was like she. I think she's into. I think from talking to him, what I gleaned is his wife is very active in that community and. So offered up their home as a venue.
The highfalutin liberal writer type community, or what community?
Well, I don't. Well, these people were, I believe, they were primarily donors. They were like people who really keep KCRW going. I think.
I see. I got you. Yeah.
it's just the strangest. I said to Elvis Mitchell when I got there, well, I've listened to your show a bunch of times. I've heard you interview people. I didn't know that when I was listening to it, you were in a living room full of middle-aged
ersatz Tim
hipsters. I never picked up on that. He said, "Oh no, we've never done this before." I was like, "Okay, all right, I'll see you on the ice." And we just sat in front of a fireplace, surrounded by delightful, primarily Caucasoid, like people kind of just sitting enthralled at every little word I had to say about how I was angry at executives and how humanity should fight the system, and it was invigorating.
Did you ever get like a back rub from anybody? Or?
There was a point where Elvis started rubbing me, and but it was radio, so you won't be able to tell from listening. And I didn't feel like I was allowed to say no, which is fucked up. But I also don't feel like I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, but also you have a lot of exposed nerves.
Yeah. What do you mean? But it was it was nice. It was interesting, and I felt very articulate. I went up and I stumbled over my words very little. I don't know if it was. I felt like I was in a room full of my parents or something, and I had to rise to the level of my cardigan.
Had you? I'm not saying this to be glib. Like, had you drunk less? Like, did you show up a little?
No, I had like 3 of these wonderful drinks they made that were Campari grapefruit drinks.
Wow.
I don't know if I was less drunk than I usually am at 4 in the afternoon.
I'm asking, was it a gig? You go like, I'm gonna have a.
No, I wasn't. If anything,
this.
I was a little panicked about how sober I was, because I was like, I don't want my brain to get in the way of what's going on here. I've got a lot of weird class issues and stuff. This is a living room full of rich people listening to me.
Did you make any friends outside of Elvis?
I don't make friends. I don't know what that means. You mean like a snowman? Like you go in the front yard and how do you make a friend?
You and these white people that on the couch with the gray hair and the back rubs. I mean, was there an after party? Did you guys?
There was a mingling.
In my mind, the sun goes down and you guys are in the tub.
it gets bacchanalian.
Hey guys, there's a room full of swim trunks. We got all sizes, whatever you want.
No, but I was really taken and a little put off by how handsome everyone was. I feel like because they're all over 50 and they all look under 30, and I'm 41 and I look 60. Like I felt like that was okay. But the guy that created SpongeBob's got a 15-year-old kid, and I won't drop his age. He told me how old he was, and I was shocked. It's weird when somebody tells you how old they are, and my response was like, holy shit. But I forgot to say, I'm saying that because you look young. So it's just sort of goes like, I'm 52, and you go, wow, fuck, Jesus Christ.
Holy smoke.
What's that like? But there's people that are, I don't know, they must eat algae and not drink and just walk on a treadmill and do crunches, fight crime. I don't know what they do. Their faces look like little Ken dolls.
We've both been to parties full of like rich white people. They tend to, like, people with lots of money tend to age well. They get really good health care and shit.
So the guy that created
they take
SpongeBob,
a lot of vacations. They get some vitamin D and stuff like that.
They know how to. And I wonder, does that mean they're going to live to 150, or does that mean, as Aaron said, no, they're gonna die when you die, but they're going to do so gracefully. They'll probably die 20 years later too, by the way. But I mean, they'll have a better quality of life. He looks like Davy Jones, the guy that created SpongeBob. He is like. The number of his age is like, you're like, wow, you should have thrown in the towel biologically. It's a couple years older than me, but it's like I associate it with like, fuck it, you should be wearing Kleenex boxes on your feet, and you should be like flipping off traffic and shooting your TV with a 38 and fucking like checking out, man. And he looks like Davy Jones.
But he created that show a long time ago.
And he looks great.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
It's amazing to me. Like I get a little jealous. I guess I should eat some kale or something.
I feel like the secret for the wealthy people that I know that have awesome lives, they spend a lot of their time on vacation. There's lots of like Rivieras and things. You know, you're on a boat a lot.
Here's somebody who's this is, to me, this is a truly remarkable. I wish there was a way we could. Somebody Wikipedia Stan Winston and tell me how old he is.
Is that the special effects guy?
Yeah. He was on we're watching the newest season of King of the Nerds. Remember when we had Genevieve Pearson on the show? She was a contestant on King of the Nerds. There's a new season of that. Stan Winston comes out with a robot he built or whatever. He looks like he looks like Tony Hawk or something.
I have been to his old house many times because Ryan Stiles from Who's Line bought his old house in L.A. I think he recently sold. And his house is up in, like, this old house that he got rid of. You'd be young if you had this house. It's up in, like, the valley side of the Hollywood Hills, like, towards Encino. There's a backyard that if you were the guy in the world that could throw a football the farthest, you couldn't throw a football out of that yard. And it was like the front of it looked like if Bilbo Baggins was as tall as Gandalf. It looked like a Shire home, except the person that lived there was 11 feet tall.
You know, we have shared units of measure like acres and yards. If you don't have to.
Nobody knows. No, see, fuck you, because
well,
no. If I said, Dan, it was 14,000 square feet, you would go, ooh la la. You wouldn't know what I was talking about.
You're right.
You would say how many hobbits?
How many Gandalfs? If I was a Gandalf, how many hobbits? Okay.
How dare you?
All right.
You hit my exposed nerve, you son of a bitch.
I really did.
It's a house that from the front you go, that looks like a nice, beautiful, like a Bilbo Bagginsy Gandalf house. And you get inside it, you can get lost in the cocksucker. You can actually hang a wrong turn. And you go like, okay, I don't remember how to get back to the wine cellar. I know that there was a pool table, but you can't. And fucking, like, I think it's not all like as the old comic.
Does everybody, if you go to Pottery Barn, if you're lucky enough to get it before they sell out of the 5 that they keep on the counter, Jeff's album of covers of classics, it's called Lost in the Cocksucker. It's so beautiful. Like you're not. It's not original stuff, but you really bring new life into.
No, it's all. It's
only a paper moon.
So I do Sound of Silence. It's good stuff. It's mostly zither. But I feel like as the comic Joe E. Lewis from the 20s, 30s said, he said, money isn't everything, but it calms the nerves a little. And I think that there's a thing about wealth. If you're not, I mean, wealth can also destroy you. Wealth can turn you into a Scrooge, and it can crush and weaken your cells. I think by if all you care about is competition. But there are people, and I think in our world, this little enclave that we live in, I don't meet rich tycoons. I don't meet entrepreneurs and shit. I meet rich comedians and singers and stuff like that. And I think it may be the art that keeps them young. But I think there's a way to grow old gracefully, and certainly money doesn't hurt.